I watched him throw it away, not because he couldn't do it, not because life got in the way, but because he didn't feel like doing it yet. And somehow, that became my fault. Intro CT. If you've ever warned someone again and again, only for them to ignore you, and then blame you later, you already know how frustrating this story is about to get. So before we start, hit subscribe because this one builds slow and then hits hard. Detailed, cinematic. I've always been the responsible one. Not because I wanted to be, but because someone had to be. Growing up, our house was never chaotic, but it wasn't exactly structured either. My parents were loving, sure, but they had this hands-off approach to parenting that sounded great in theory. Let them figure things out themselves. It worked on me. It didn't work on my brother. Morning routine. Every morning, my alarm would go off at 7 a.m. sharp. Same routine, same rhythm. I'd get up, make my bed, open the curtains just enough to let sunlight spill across the room, and then head to the kitchen to make tea. That quiet moment? That was my peace. Meanwhile, from down the hallway, I'd hear it. My brother's alarm. It would ring once, twice, 3 times. Then silence. Not because he got up, but because he hit snooze. Again, and again, and again. Introducing my brother. He's not a bad person. That's what makes this harder to explain. He's funny, charming, the kind of guy people like instantly. But he has one flaw that overshadows everything else. He thinks time waits for him. Deadlines? Flexible. Responsibilities? Optional until they're not. Consequences? Somehow always someone else's fault. I used to think he'd grow out of it. I really did. The first mention. It started casually. One evening, I was sitting at the dining table with my laptop open, finishing up some work. He walked in, phone in hand, half distracted as usual. "Hey," he said, dropping into the chair across from me. "There's this internship thing. Paid. Through Uncle's friend." I looked up immediately. "Paid?" I asked. "Yeah," he shrugged. "And it's actually pretty good." That caught my attention. Opportunities like that? They don't come around often. "What's the deadline?" I asked. He glanced at his phone. "Like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's plenty of time, if you actually use it." The first warning. I closed my laptop slowly and leaned forward. "Apply early," I said. He rolled his eyes slightly. "I will." "No, I mean it," I continued. "Don't wait till the last minute. These things, sometimes they close early or get filled fast." He gave that half smile. The one that says, "You're overreacting. I've got time." That sentence, I can still hear it. Internal thoughts. I didn't push too hard. Because I've learned something about him. The more you push, the more he resists. So I backed off. But in my head I was already uneasy. Days passing. Day 1. Nothing. Day 3. I casually brought it up again. "So, did you start your application?" He was lying on the couch, scrolling endlessly. "Not yet." "Why not?" "I'll do it later." Later. That word again. Second reminder. A few days later, I found him in the kitchen grabbing snack. "Hey," I said, trying to keep it light. "You should probably start that internship application." He sighed. "I said I'll do it." "I know, but..." "Why are you acting like my mom?" That hit harder than it should have. I went quiet for a second. "I'm not," I said calmly. "I'm just reminding you because you said it's important." "I know it's important," he snapped. "I'm not stupid." I nodded. "Then act like it." He didn't respond. Just walked away. tension growing. After that, I stopped bringing it up as much. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't want to fight. Still, every time I saw him wasting hours, watching videos, scrolling, laughing at memes, I felt this growing frustration inside me. Not anger. Not yet. Just disbelief. How could someone have an opportunity right in front of them and just ignore it? Final days before deadline. 1 week left. I tried one last time. "Hey," I said, standing by his door. "Deadline's getting close." He didn't even look up. "I know. Did you at least check the requirements?" "I'll do it." "When?" He paused. "Soon." That word again. Soon. Internal conflict. Part of me wanted to sit him down, force him to open the application, walk him through it step by step. But then I thought, he's 20, not 12. If I do everything for him now, what happens later? The night before, the house was quiet. Too quiet. I was in my room, working late, when I suddenly remembered. The deadline. I checked the date. Tomorrow. My heart dropped. I got up immediately and walked to his room. Door slightly open. Lights off. He was asleep. Phone still in his hand. The moment. I stood there, frozen. Do I wake him up? Do I remind him one last time? Do I step in or step back? Because I knew. This was the moment. The line between helping and enabling. Cliffhanger end. I looked at him, sleeping peacefully, completely unaware. And I had to decide, do I wake him up and save him from his own mistake? Or do I walk away and let him face the consequences? I didn't wake him up. I just stood there for a few seconds longer, and then I walked away. I told myself it was the right thing to do, that he needed to learn, that this wasn't my responsibility. But I had no idea. That decision was about to come back and hit me harder than anything I expected. Short CTA. If you've ever had to choose between helping someone or letting them learn the hard way, comment lesson below. Because what happened next? It didn't feel like a lesson. The decision. I closed his door quietly. That small click echoed louder in my head than it should have. Back in my room, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at nothing. My mind kept replaying the same question. Should I have woken him up? But I pushed it away. No. I had reminded him, multiple times. This wasn't on me. I turned off my light and lay down, but sleep didn't come easily. Somewhere in the back of my mind, something felt off. The morning after. The next morning felt normal. Too normal. Sunlight came through the curtains like always. The house was quiet. I followed my routine, tea, breakfast, checking emails. And then I heard it. Footstep. Fast. Heavy. Not his usual lazy, dragging walk. These were urgent. I looked up just as he appeared in the kitchen doorway. Hair messy. Eyes wide. Panicked. What's the date today? He asked. My stomach tightened. I already knew. It's the deadline, I said slowly. He froze. No, it's today, right? Like later today. I didn't answer immediately, because I knew what came next. He grabbed his phone, fingers moving fast, opening the application page. And then, silence. A different kind of silence. The kind that fills a room completely. The moment it hits him, it's closed. His voice was quiet. Too quiet. They closed it last night, he said, staring at the screen. I watched his face. The realization spreading slowly, like something sinking in. No, that's not fair, he muttered. It said today. Sometimes they close early, I said gently. He looked up at me, and for a second, just a second, I saw it. That flicker. Regret. But it didn't stay. The shift. His expression changed. Fast. From regret to frustration. Then anger. You should have told me, he said. I blinked. I did. No, I mean last night, he snapped. You knew, right? You knew it was the last day. My chest tightened. I reminded you all week. That's not the same, he raised his voice. You could have just told me one more time. I stared at him, trying to process what he was saying. One more time. I repeated. Yeah, he said. You saw me sleeping, didn't you? That caught me off guard. What? I fell asleep early, he continued, pacing now. If you knew, why didn't you wake me up? There it was. The blame. The argument builds. I'm not your alarm, I said, keeping my voice steady. That's not the point, he shot back. Then what is the point? I asked. The point is, you knew this mattered. And you didn't? I replied. He hesitated, just for a second, then shook his head aggressively. You always do this. I frowned. Do what? You act like you're better than me, he said. Like you've got everything figured out. That stung. This isn't about me, I said. This was your responsibility. No, he said, pointing at me. This was something you could have helped with. I did help, I said firmly. I reminded you multiple times. Not enough. The words hung in the air. Not enough. Emotional break. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger. Not yet. But something colder. I'm not responsible for your choices, I said quietly. He laughed. A short, bitter laugh. Wow, he said. That's really supportive. I'm being honest. You're being selfish. That word. Selfish. After everything, I looked at him, really looked at him. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. He didn't feel guilty. He felt wrong. Days after. The house changed after that. Not physically, but emotionally. There was tension in everything. Small things felt bigger. Silence felt heavier. We stopped talking like we used to. Conversations became short, dry, necessary. And then, a few days later, he came to me again. The request. I was sitting at the dining table, laptop open, when he walked in. This time calmer. Too calm. Hey, he said. I looked up cautiously. Yeah. He hesitated, then said, Can you talk to Uncle's friend? I already knew where this was going. About what? About the internship, he said. Maybe they can reconsider. I leaned back in my chair slowly. You want me to ask them to reopen your application? Not reopen, he said quickly. Just make an exception. I stared at him. You're serious? Yeah, he said. It's not a big deal. You can just explain what happened. What happened? I repeated. He nodded. Yeah. That I missed it because I didn't realize the deadline closed early. I felt something tighten in my chest again. And that's supposed to what? Make them ignore their own rules. It's just one application, he said. People do this all the time. No, they don't, I said. Yes, they do, he insisted. You just don't want to help. The refusal. I took a deep breath. No. The word came out firm, clear, final. His expression changed again. That same shift, calm, to something darker. So you're really not going to help me, he said. I already did, I replied. No, he said slowly. You watched me fail. That's not true. It is, he said. You could have fixed this. I'm not fixing something you caused, I said. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. First strange event. That night, something small happened. So small. I almost ignored it. I went to check my email, and I noticed something odd. One of my drafts was open. I didn't remember opening it, or editing it, but there it was. Unsaved changes. I frowned, scrolling through it. Nothing major. Just weird. I brushed it off. Maybe I forgot. Second event, worse. The next day, my phone started acting strange. Notifications missing. Messages delayed. I checked my chats, and saw something that made my stomach drop. A message sent from my account. To one of my contacts. A message I didn't write. Short. Cold. Rude. I stared at it, confused. Did I send this? No. I would remember, right? Third event, panic begins. That evening, things escalated. I logged into one of my work accounts and got locked out. Wrong password. I tried again. Still wrong. I reset it, checked recent activity, and that's when I saw it. A login. From a device I didn't recognize. At a time I wasn't even online. My heart started beating faster. This wasn't random. This wasn't a glitch. Something was wrong. Confusion and tension. I sat there, phone in hand, mind racing. I checked everything. Email. Accounts. Small changes everywhere. Nothing huge. But enough to feel intentional. Controlled. Targeted. And then, I remembered. The argument. The look on his face. That calmness. That strange, quiet calm. Realization moment. I slowly turned my head, looking down the hallway, toward his room. The door was closed. Silent. Still. And in that moment, everything clicked into place. Not fully. Not completely. But enough. Enough to feel it. That something wasn't just wrong. It was deliberate. Cliffhanger end. I thought back to the way he looked at me. Not angry. Not desperate. Just calm. Too calm. And that's when it hit me. I thought I understood him. Lazy. Careless. Always late. That's what I believed. But I was wrong. Because while I thought he was wasting time, he was watching me. Learning me. Waiting. Connecting the dot. I didn't move from my chair. My eyes were still fixed on the hallway, but my mind was racing backwards. The email draft. The strange message. The login attempt. Individually, they meant nothing. Together, they formed a pattern. And there was only one person in this house who had both access. And a reason. My brother. At first, I rejected the thought. No. He wouldn't do that. He's irresponsible, sure, but this? This felt calculated. Too precise. Too patient. But then I remembered something small. Something I hadn't paid attention to before. A few weeks ago, he had asked to use my laptop. Just for a bit, he had said. Mine's dead. I didn't think twice. Why would I? He was my brother. The first confirmation. My hands started shaking slightly as I opened my laptop again. Settings. Security. Devices. And there it was. A secondary device logged into my account. Not mine. Never mine. But familiar. The model. The timestamp. My breath caught. That was his laptop. Full realization begins. It wasn't random. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't bad luck. This was access. Planned access. Given willingly by me. I leaned back slowly, heart pounding. How long? How long had he been able to do this? Days? Weeks? The plan revealed. It started to unfold piece by piece. Not all at once, but slowly, like a puzzle locking into place. He didn't explode after I refused to help him. He didn't scream. Didn't argue endlessly. He just accepted it. too easily. At the time, I thought it meant he gave up. But now, I understood. He didn't need to fight me, because he had already decided something else. Chaos escalates. The next morning, everything collapsed faster. I woke up to missed calls. Multiple. From work. My stomach dropped. I called back immediately. "Where were you?" my manager asked, voice tight. "What do you mean?" I said. "You sent an email last night," she said, "saying you wouldn't be available for the next few days." My mind went blank. "I didn't send anything," I said. There was a pause. Then, "It came from your account. Damage spreads." I checked my email, and there it was, sent at 2:14 a.m. A perfectly written message. Professional. Convincing. Fake. My hands felt cold. "I can fix this," I said quickly. "That wasn't me." "We'll talk later," she said, her tone distant now. The call ended. Just like that. Pressure builds. By afternoon, more things started going wrong. A subscription canceled. A document deleted. Files missing. Not everything. Just enough. Just precise enough. Like someone was carefully choosing what to touch and what to leave. I felt like I was losing control of my own life. The confrontation. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I walked down the hallway, each step heavier than the last. His door was closed. I knocked once. No response. I opened it. He was sitting on his bed, calm, phone in hand, scrolling, like nothing was happening, face to face. "We need to talk," I said. He looked up, slowly. "Oh," he said. That tone. That same calm tone. "What's wrong?" I stared at him. "You tell me." He tilted his head slightly. "I don't know what you mean." "My accounts," I said. "My emails. My work." A pause. Then, he smiled. Not wide. Not obvious. Just enough. "The truth comes out." "You should have helped me," he said quietly. My chest tightened. "So this is you?" I asked. "You had one job," he continued, ignoring my question. "Just one thing I asked." "This isn't the same," I said. "No," he replied. "Feels pretty similar." "This is my life," I snapped. "And that was mine," he said, finally looking directly at me. Silence. Heavy. Sharp. Emotional collapse. I felt something break inside me. Not just anger. Not just frustration. Something deeper. Betrayal. "You're going too far," I said. He shrugged slightly. "I learned from you." Those words hit harder than anything else. "I didn't do this to you," I said. "You let me fail," he replied. "No," I said, voice shaking now. "You chose not to act. And you chose not to help." The twist, respect begins. I hated it, but I couldn't ignore it. This wasn't random revenge. It was structured, measured. He didn't destroy everything. Just enough to make me feel unstable, uncertain. The same way he must have felt when he missed that opportunity. Helpless. I looked at him differently now. Not as the careless younger brother, but as someone who had been paying attention, waiting, adapting. Acceptance phase. Over the next few days, things slowly stabilized. I secured my accounts, changed everything, took control back. But the damage? It lingered. At work, in my routine, in my trust. And with him, there was distance now. Permanent. Silence returns. The house became quiet again. But not peaceful. Not like before. This silence had weight. Meaning. Awareness. We passed each other sometimes. No argument. No conversations. Just understanding. Final reflection. I used to think responsibility meant doing everything right. Waking up on time, meeting deadlines, staying disciplined. But I learned something else. Responsibility isn't just about your actions. It's about the impact you choose to have on others. And sometimes, doing nothing can still change everything. Final lesson. Helping someone doesn't mean controlling their life. But refusing to help? That can have consequences too. Not always fair. Not always justified. But real. I don't think he'll ever admit what he did. And I don't think I'll ever fully forgive it. But I understand it now. Not as chaos. Not as cruelty. But as a decision. A calculated one. And maybe that's what scares me the most. Final CTA. If this story made you think twice about responsibility, trust, or family, hit like, and tell me in the comments, would you have woken him up or walked away? And don't forget to subscribe, because the next story might hit even harder.